Welcome to Wilcom's video short series for EmbroideryStudio E 4.0. Today I'm going to show you how to do a split color full back or front design using complex fill. And we're going to get started here. This could be done in the embroidery side, or it could be done in the graphic side. And in the embroidery side, basically all we have to do, first of all, the design needs to be big enough in order to be able to use a complex fill stitch for it. And with this said, it will be very difficult to do this using satin stitches on the left chest. Those usually have to be digitized manually to do the two color font. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to navigate over here to the letter A. I'm going to right click here, and I'm just going to type in J. Okay. Now, because I'm not going to use the Wilcom font for this, I'm not going to use a satin stitch. I'm going to use a font that I can use a tatami stitch. Okay, so therefore, whenever you see the symbol here inside right beside the font here, this is a satin stitch. It means that they were satin stitch fonts actually, so we're not going to be able to use that type font here for this particular project. So I want to scroll down here, and I'm going to also navigate down. I'm going to go to my Windows True Type fonts. You'll know what those are because you won't see the little red satin stitch anymore like you see here. You will see the two T's, a gray one and a blue one here for a True Type font. And so we're going to get a thick one, a thick font here, because those always work the best for these type jobs. Now, what I'm also going to do after choosing the True Type font, I'm going to navigate down here to where it says TTF conversion. This stands for True Type Font Conversion. I'm going to click here, my little arrow. It's going to give me a pop-up menu here with my conversion settings. Now, the top portion here is dedicated for doing like satin stitches for turning strokes, and that's what that represents here. At the bottom, we have the complex fill. That's what we want. So I'm going to select here, left click on complex fill. I'll go here and I'll type in 45 degrees for my stitch angle. As I click OK here, I'm going to go on screen, create text, left click. And this looks this way because it's very tiny. I'm going to click up top here to my US settings, and I'm going to type in 12 inches. Okay, much nicer. Okay, now what you see here also are satin stitches here with the auto split stitch turned on. We don't want these actually, so we're just going to navigate up top and change that with everything selected on the screen here to our tatami stitch. So this is what we're looking at here. Okay, this is the stitch type that we want to use for this as well. So as I go in, I'm going to select this also. I'm going to go to my connectors. And in my connectors, I want to make sure that my connectors here, my trim after here, make sure that they're turned on. Okay. You also want to make sure that the tying stitches here are turned on. I always use after trim or color change with the previous connector here is 2 millimeters. The stitch length is 1 millimeter here, and the number of lock stitches here is 2. That's for the tie-in stitches. You're going to click this down arrow, choose tie-off stitches. You want to make sure, I usually use before trim or color change, always tie off last. Next connector here at 2 millimeters. Now for the method here, I am partial to using this second method here that's used for the tatami stitch because it does a running stitch for the lock. Okay, this first one here does kind of a X, and on small characters basically you can see a little bulge in it if the columns are thin enough. So again, I choose the second method here using the running stitch for the tie off. Again, the length for the lock stitch here is that 1 millimeter, and there are 2 of them here also. I'm going to click save here. I'm going to make sure I'm going to save this to my default template to make sure that they're there the next time I pull this up. So now with this, I'm going to go in, and the idea here is to get two colors. The customer called. They want this split, one color up top and one color on the bottom. Okay. The way I'm going to do this here, I'm going to scroll down here to my vector outline, and I'm going to choose my open shape. All I'm going to do is I'm going to select this here, press my control key down and drag it across like this. Press enter. Okay. And making sure also that my auto starting in here is turned on, making sure these settings here are correct here, because you want that white crosshair in the center, just like that. So now all I'm going to do, I'm going to select everything on my screen like this. I'm going to navigate down here to my shaping tools, which I absolutely love. They're incredible. And the option that I'm going to choose here is divide. Now watch my color object list when I do this. When I choose divide, it's going to do that. Okay. And because it does that, now I can actually go in, draw a box around the top of those like this, and I can scroll to the bottom and change the color like this. Okay. And so that's how, and then I can go back to my color object list, click up top here and delete those. And so this is how that works. Okay. And again, I can go in, and because there's a separate color here now, just making sure that everything is doing what it should do as far as the connectors are concerned. Here, again, as I go to my connectors, making sure everything is correct here with this. Undo. I have a bar here. And I right clicked it to break it apart here, because I want to make sure that I have just that option there. I didn't want anything else associated with it here, so I can there we are. As I select it here, there we go, just moving the exit point was the fix for that. Actually, let me back it up here. Starting point here and exit point here. Starting point and exit point. As I go in, okay, and again, you just want to make sure that the objects that you're working with on the screen are in the right location here. I just kind of slide that over on this side to get rid of that line in the middle there, actually. And so so we have our design, and that was pretty quick. Again, simple objects on the screen definitely make it run a lot quicker when you're working with simple objects and they're large versus again, for doing a satin stitch for this would have been more difficult actually, and it would have had to have been digitized manually, because with the satin stitches is going to give you a different effect actually, and splitting those up, unless that character is large enough, it may cause some issues actually. So you have to make sure that you're working with the correct type of object when you're going in and you're doing this type of project like this actually. With the Corel Draw, basically you'll just same process, you'll just go in, you can just select everything and convert it, and when you get over to this side you can split it just like I showed you with the divide tool here from the shaping tools, and that's how you can actually do the same thing. All right, and also what I'm going to do is I'm going to the stitch angle change here to where it's actually doing it horizontal going across. I'm going to change that to at least and angle it slightly, actually, because that's what it's going to be, because you want to be careful about doing the stitch angles in the same direction as the weave of the fabric, because you don't want it sinking in to the fabric. So it's just a faster, quicker, and it looks a lot nicer also. So with these, I'm going to close this out here. I'm holding my control key down as I select these items. Go to my specials up top here, change that angle to 45 degrees. This, I'm going to give it a different look here as I select those, and I press H for my reshape tool, making sure that the angle that it's stitching at now, as I press tab to advance to the next one, based on this stitch angle. Okay, and that's where you want that to be, actually. So here again, 45 degrees based on that stitch angle. Same here. Now also I was seeing something here as well. Now with this one too, this one actually was broken into two parts here, actually. This one, 1 and 2. What we can do to this one is select the bottom one, press the control key down, select the top one, and you could have the option to go in and let's see what happens if we combine them. Nope, we'll undo it. With those selected, let's see if we can weld them together. Alright, so with the weld tool, we were able to weld those together and make it work. Very simple, very easy to do inside the Embroidery Studio. Delete these here. Don't need those. And these no points here also. Alright, starting point and exit point. Okay, and also for the bottoms, as we select here, or you can just click on the number here also. And as far as the going into specials here and doing 45 like this, selecting them now individually, pressing H, making sure that we have our exit point going this direction here, starting point over here as I press tab. Okay, so it could either go down or you can either go up to the top, however you want to lay it out, actually, as long as that stitch angle, as long as it's at the opposite end of that stitch angle, like you have here. That'll be fine also. There and there. All right, and that's it. Make sure that you save it, and that's done. Again, how to do a split of the text actually on a full back or full front inside the embroidery to change the colors, and that's going to do it. I want to thank you so much for your time. As always, we ask you to join us at www.wilcomamerica.com. Thank you so much.